Hello enemies and book lovers, my name is Ash and welcome back to my channel. So it's already November. Crazy, it's crazy. November is going to be a different month for me. So I usually do my Sims TBR video where I play The Sims and my Sims read books, and that determines different prompts or games that I play. But it's been like 3 months since I've played that game, which is unfortunate. I will be doing it in December, but for November I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. So as some of you might know, I have a readathon that I am going to be doing in November where you build your own dragon and all that fun stuff. You don't have to read only dragon books. You only need to read one dragon book, but I'm going to go all out and I'm going to be reading exclusively and only dragon books in all of November. Technically speaking, this isn't really a TBR video. This is kind of more of a MBR, which is like a might be read, because there are 13 books on this list and I'm not reading all of them. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be rolling a die that's going to determine what books I end up reading. I'm going to be rolling once in this video, but for the other books I'm going to be reading this month, it's going to be a surprise, and I'm going to be doing like not a reading vlog, more like I roll the dice, I get a different book, and then I review the book. I'm going to be doing this twice in this month, so I'm going to be doing this halfway through the month and then the very first few days of December. So I'm going to be having videos up of the books, talking about the books, how I feel about them, rather doing a wrap up. So there are 13 books on this list. I'm only planning on reading probably around 5 to 6. If I DNF, obviously I'm going to roll again, but right now I only plan on reading some of these, not all of them, and there are 4 books that are over 500 pages and I only plan on reading one of them. One of the 500-page books I will be rolling for in this video. That's the only thing I'll be rolling for in this whole video, and then the other rolls I will be doing for my other separate videos. But instead of talking about the books I'm definitely going to be reading, I'm going to tell you about all the 12 books I'm going to maybe read. And I actually, for once in my life, came slightly prepared and I wrote down notes for what all these books are about, because I honestly didn't know anything about half of these books before I made this video. So I have notes now. I'm trying to be professional. I'm trying my best. I'm trying, okay? That's all that matters. I'd also like to mention before everything starts that most of these, or if not all of these books, are indie authors. Only a few of these, or a handful of them, are going to be actually well-known books or well-known authors. So I just want to let you know that a lot of these books are indie authors, smaller authors. So if you're interested in some of these and you want to read them yourself, you can find almost all of these on KU or Kindle Unlimited. Let's just get onto the books, because that is what we are here for. So the first 4 are going to be the biggest books on this TBR. I'm only going to be choosing one of these for the entire month. So I'm going to be rolling the dice at the end of this video to determine what of these I will be reading out of these 4. Let me talk about what the 4 books are as quickly as I can. So the first book is Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. This one is a Norse mythology kind of inspired fantasy series where the gods are now extinct. I think they like battled each other and now they are just all dead. The bones of these gods hold power within them still. There are monsters in this, and we're also following 3 separate characters. That's all I really know about this. I don't want to go into it knowing too much. I kind of wanted to read these all synopsises of these books without kind of telling too much about them, because I'd rather just know by reading it. I think Norse mythology is one of my favorite mythologies, or mythos. So this one I've been wanting to read for a while now, and I own it physically, which means I definitely want to read it. So that's definitely a contender. The second big book that I might be reading for the month is To Shape a Dragon's Breath, and this is by Manquil Blackgoose. This is about a young indigenous woman who walks into a colonizer-run dragon academy. There's an island that hasn't seen dragons for the past few centuries, but then one day the main character finds a dragon egg and hatches it for herself, and this is the first dragon that they've seen in a very long time. This one sounds really cool, and I've been wanting to get to this for a long time now, especially because it's written by a indigenous author and it is about dragon schools. I personally love school settings. I'm almost 30 years old, but like for some reason, I mean, it was a huge part of my life, so I just find it like fascinating and fun to read school kind of setting books. So I haven't read Fourth Wing yet, but this one I think would sound really cool too for me personally. The next possible book is Ascendant. This is by Michael R. Miller. So Holt is the main character. He wants to be a dragon rider, but he kind of discovers this dark, not secret, but this dark part of dragons where dragons will eliminate or kill off anything that they kind of desire as weakness. So if there is an egg or if there's a dragon hatchling that has seen some type of weakness, the dragons will kill the others just to kind of, I guess, remove any abnormalities or any weaknesses within their sanctum. Holt decides to take one of these eggs that are seen as a weakness and he takes it for himself. The dragon ends up hatching and it is blind, so he takes this blind dragon as his own, so that way the other dragons don't kill it because of this weakness that they see from it. I love the idea of this one. I'm not sure how I will feel about it. I think Covers with Cassidy, or Cassidy, read this book and she thought it was like good but like not great. I only seen like her read it, I think, so this one has a really cool premise. I'm a little bit nervous, but I think this one sounds really interesting. The next possible bigger book contender is called Black Talon. This is by Jamie Castle and Annie Peliquin. This is about a character named Cullen Cullen with a K? I don't know. This is about a character named Cullen, who is the Emperor's assassin, better known as the Black Talon. He is tasked to hunt down anyone that is against the Empire or has any threat towards it, and he does so with his soul-forged bond with his dragon named Umbrus. That's literally all I wrote down because I don't want to know too much more about it other than that, but this one I actually for some reason have like put good vibes from it. It just sounds really cool, and not only does the cover look amazing, but also the premise of this assassin character going after anyone that like threatens the Empire. Maybe it's not that great, but this one looks and sounds really cool. Okay, so now we're gonna be moving on to the smaller books. These are the ones I'm going to be rolling a 1d8 for every so often. So every single time I finish one, I will be rolling a 1d8 to pick up a new one. So from this point on, I'm going to be showing you what those ones are. So for the 5th potential book, I have the Dragon Universe. This is actually written or illustrated by multiple different illustrators and writers. This one looks kind of cool. I found it on my Hoopla app. This is an illustrated encyclopedia that includes the history and the fully painted designs of different dragons. It kind of follows like not really a journal kind of thing. It looks like a journal. I don't really know how it's written because there's not really much of a synopsis of it. It looks like there's like people that write different stories within it about different types of dragons, and there's beautiful illustrations. Supposedly some of the artists have done things from Lord of the Rings and Dungeons and Dragons themselves. They have drawn some of these dragons in this encyclopedia kind of thing, and it's really cool. It's kind of like a graphic novel, but there is writing in it, like texts of writing or like paragraphs of writing. I love the cover of this. It kind of gives me like Bloodborne Souls vibes. I really like the concept of it and the look of it, so fingers crossed, maybe I'll get this. The 6th book is going to be called The Caged Dragon. This is by Dan Michelson and D.K. Holmberg. This one kind of sounds like a traditional dragon book. I don't really know how to explain it, but when I tell you what it is, it sounds kind of like traditionally high fantasy dragon book. This is about a farm boy who wishes to become a dragon rider but gives it up when his father and his brother are sick. An attack happens on his own town or his own area, and his sister is in danger, so he has to go and protect her, and in doing so he kind of involves himself in the battle or the war. So because of that, he kind of gets closer to a dragon than he'd ever imagined that he ever would. So I'm assuming that he eventually becomes a dragon rider that he wanted to be this entire time, because, you know, he's pushed into this fight. Like I said, he starts as like the little farm boy, and then he eventually becomes this, like, I'm assuming like warrior. It sounds kind of like the traditional dragon high fantasy book. Nothing wrong with that. It's just hopefully I will enjoy that because it depends on how it's executed. So this one I'm a little bit iffy on. I don't know why. This one kind of has the most like unsure vibes from, but I'm hoping it will maybe just surprise me. For the 7th book, this one is a very different kind of one on this list. This is Nice Dragons Finish Last. This is by Rachel Aaron. So this is a story with shape-shifting dragons. They're not completely dragons, they shapeshift into them, but this is following a character named Julius, who is the smallest dragon in his area, and he kind of keeps quiet and recluse and away from everyone else to kind of like hide the fact that he's less powerful than everyone else. But because of his family not agreeing with this and wanting him to be this powerful dragon that everyone else should be, they banish him into the ruins of old Detroit in hopes that it will prove that he can become strong enough like everyone else is. This is like an urban fantasy, obviously, like old Detroit. The cover kind of gives off that vibe too. It kind of gives like a vague sci-fi-esque dystopian, an urban fantasy kind of feel to it. This one is like the most unique, I think, on this list because it has a different kind of setting in it. Instead of being like a high epic dragon series with like castles, this has an urban fantasy setting. And as per usual with me, we are moving on to some more romantic heavy books. If you don't know me, I love romance, and I love fantasy romance. I love white shoes, which is like multiple love interests. So that's just how it's gonna be for the next book and some of the other books on this list. The 8th possible book is Dragon's Gift. This is by Jada Storm, and this is a Why Choose book. This one has like a lower rating, and I've actually heard even my friend didn't love it, which is surprising. This is about a woman who is an orphan by a no-name farmer. She is a servant girl, works in a tavern, and just makes as ends meet with her money. But suddenly she's swept away to the Dragon's Keep, where 3, of course, handsome dragon shifters are. As she's swept away to the Dragon Keep, she realizes she's lavished in gowns and gold and everything she can imagine, all the refinery things. She finds out she is what is considered the Dragon Gift, when one woman is chosen from the gods every century to bear the child of the next king. So she's destined to be with at least one of these men for the Dragon's Gift, and obviously she's going to end up with all of them because it's a Why Choose. There's no love triangle. This is just her going to be with all of the guys. And like, I don't know what the armor choice of this is. So maybe the reason why their whole chests are out is because like it's symbolism of the dragon, how the underbelly is the most, you know, defenseless. I don't know. I'm not really complaining about it because it looks good, but like, I don't know. This one I'm just like, I want to read this one, but I feel like I'm a little bit nervous because it has a lower rating. I think it's like a 3.7. This is one of the lower ratings on this entire list, so I'm a little bit nervous about it, but like, I don't know, the premise and the cover, it's just selling me, so I have to do it. Also, Jada Storm has a lot of other books that are very similar, like a lot of other Why Choose books that I'm like, I really hope I like this book if I get it, because I want to read her other books. And if I don't like this one, I guess I'll try her other ones in case I like them, but I just want her like her writing at least. The 9th book I might be reading for the month of November is going to be Breaking Legacies. This is by Zoe Reed. This one is the only one on this list that is sapphic, and it surprisingly, there's not a lot of dragon books that are sapphic, which is really unfortunate in my opinion. Just give me more female sapphic books, please, especially with dragons in them. Is it Kiera? Kiena? It might be Kiena. Who knows? My writing is hard to read. Why did I write this out? Like, Kiena is a hunter, and her friend recommends to the king Kiena to find and hunt after, not like to kill, but like to find and track the princess who is now a runaway. This is a very simple premise. The princess runs away. The king asks Kiena to hunt her down, or not hunt her down, I keep saying that, asks her to track her down and find her and bring her back. When she finds her, she's torn between loyalty to the king and her own heart because she doesn't really want to bring her back, because I'm sure there's a reason why she ran away in the first place. I want to read this one because I have never read a sapphic book with dragons in it, and like, count me in. There's nothing in the description about dragons, so I'm not sure how much they will be in play with this book, but it's in the tags and it's on the cover, so it has to be there. The next one I won't really say anything about because it's like a side book to a series. That is The Fork, the Witch, and the Worm by Christopher Paolini. Murtagh is coming out this month or in November, so I wanted to get to this before I eventually got to Murtagh. I'm not going to be reading Murtagh in November, but I want to read it eventually, probably next year, early next year, and so I want to maybe get to this. This is just a bunch of side stories that follows the inheritance cycle, so that's all this is. It's just that I wanted to get to this before Murtagh. So this one's kind of like, I need to read anyway eventually, and it has dragons in it. So I thought, why not add it to the list? The 11th book on this list is Fireheart. This is by Emma Ham. This is a story about a character named Lorelei. The king in this story wants to marry and, you know, find a bride. So there is something called the bridal games to possibly become the king's bride. But in the way of her getting to the king, there is his bodyguard, who is a dragon shifter, who is kind of like the guard protector of the king. He's always at his side and is there, and very menacing and dangerous and probably very handsome, of course. So this is another dragon shifter romance kind of fantasy kind of book. I actually tried reading this, but then I didn't really get far into it. I only read like maybe one chapter, and I wasn't against it. It was more just like, I never really got to get further into it. I think this one's also a little bit lower rated in comparison to the other books, but I'm still willing to give it a shot. And the 12th book on this list is going to be Dragon Rider. This is by S. Rodman, and as you can see on the cover, this is an MMM Dragon Rider romance. This is a polyamorous relationship between 3 male characters. I don't think I've read a lot of Why Choose. I've never read a polyamorous relationship or Why Choose with multiple of the same gender, so reading a male is kind of cool. It's something new I've never tried before, and that's kind of interesting to me. This is set in the modern world where dragons exist, but people just aren't able to see them, I believe. It's like about a character who struggles between 2 different men. The synopsis describes both men. I didn't want to write it all down because it was just like a lot of descriptions about how they look, and I'm fine with that, and I was very much enjoying it, but at the same time, like, I didn't want to tell you all about what they look like because I felt like that was a little bit unnecessary for me to tell you. But if you want to know what they look like, it's on a synopsis. Him and one of the other men's dragons end up bonding and mating, and that brings them closer together as well. This is actually something that released this year, and I think that there's 2 more books that are planned to be released as well within the next year or so. So I'm hoping if I get to this, I will enjoy it. I mean, I feel like that with all the books on this list, I want to enjoy all of them. So I'm hoping I can eventually get to some of them and like them. I'm a little bit nervous I'm going to get burned out from fantasy or dragon fantasy, but here's to hoping that doesn't happen. I've been kind of slumpy this past few months because of a bunch of stress, so hopefully that doesn't affect my reading. It probably will though. It probably will. Knowing my luck, it will. And the only one that I actually definitely want to read for the month of November is Dragon Slayer. This is by Duncan M. Hamilton. This one I actually like the premise of, but I've also heard mixed things about. I'm reading this because for the Magical Readathon, there's like an annual kind of prompt system where throughout the year you have to read certain prompts, and then at the end of it you get like something. I think I'm getting a owl cat. Is it an owl cat or an owl bear? I know owl bears exist in D&D. I freaking love owl bears, especially after Baldur's Gate 3. Freaking love of owl bears, are so cute. A little owl bear cub, oh my god. My character is a beastmaster, so it makes sense that he's collecting all these cute animals. I think he already has like 3, and then he's gonna have a dragon, and then he's gonna have an owl cat. Like, this guy is decked out with cute animals. For that prompt, it is to read a book that is at risk of an unhaul, and I have had this on my list for I think like 4+ years so far. So I'm going to be reading this because I really need to get to it because I've been putting it off for a long time. So in this story, dragons are believed to be dead. There's they haven't been seen for a long period of time, and so dragon slayers who used to exist and slay these dragons are pretty much obsolete now because there's no use for them. So the main character, Gulat, he essentially is kind of like wasting away his days drinking, pretty much seen as useless, I guess, at this point from other people. But one day he is asked and tasked to take care of a dragon because for the first time in a long time, one suddenly appears. Like, the premise sounds really cool to me. It sounds very interesting to me. Obviously, I've heard mixed things, like I said. Might not be as good as I'm hoping it will be. Fingers crossed I will like this one as well. Those are the 13 potential books, with this one being one I'm gonna definitely read, so there are 12 potential contenders. Now I'm gonna be rolling the dice for what book I'm going to be reading definitely when it comes to the 500+ page books. This is the only one I'm gonna be rolling on this video. The other ones I'm gonna be making separate videos for, so obviously if you are interested, stay tuned for that. Now I'm going to be rolling the dice and see what bigger book I'm going to be reading for November. I'm a little bit nervous. There's 4 books. I'm interested in all of them, some more than others. So here's to hoping I like it. If I end up DNFing this book, whatever it is, I will re-roll. If there's enough time in my month, I will re-roll and pick a new one. I'm gonna be rolling a 1d4, so that way, obviously there's only 4 options, so I'm gonna be rolling a 1d4, which is the pointy one. That is very dangerous if you step on. This would be very painful to step on, definitely. All right, here's my 1d4. Whatever is on the top, that will be the one. So let's see. You can't see that. Why did I pretend like you can see that? It's a 1. Okay. I finished the video, but the entire end of the video was out of focus after I filmed that part. Let's do it again. So my die decided for me. I got 1, and for 1, that is Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne. This one I am so excited to be reading. This one has 528 pages, and like I said, so excited about this one. I'm hoping I will enjoy it. It sounds amazing. It sounds like something like right up my alley. I have heard mixed things, but I've heard more positive than negative, which gives me a little bit of hope that I will like this one as well. If I end up finishing this before the halfway mark of November, I might pick up another 500-page book, but for the time being, I'm only gonna be reading one like chunky 500+ page book because I don't want to put myself too much pressure to be reading really big books. I kind of want to just have fun with it. But yeah, hoping I'll like this book. I'm hoping I'll like this one. I don't like breaking my spine, but like you can see the dragon goes all the way to the back. It's just a cool cover. Mwah, mwah. So good. So I'm going to be reading this one for sure in November, and I'm also going to be for sure reading Dragon Slayer in November. So these ones are going to be the ones I'm definitely going to be reading in November. For the other ones, it's only potentially, I'm going to be rolling dice, a 1d8, and I'm going to be determining off of that what I end up reading. I also wanted to say a quick thank you for everyone that has been joining my Dragon Readathon. If you're not joining it, listen. If you're not joining my readathon, don't feel guilty about it. Honestly, I don't care. That sounds so mean. It's not that I don't care that you're not joining it. It's just like, I don't mind that you're not joining it. There's so many other readathons out there. You might just not read a lot of books. You might just not really feel like joining it. Do whatever you want to do. Don't join it if you don't want to. There's no pressure to join my own readathon. Honestly, I have way more people than I expected to actually be joining it right now. There's like over 20 people, and I thought there would be like 5 to 10. So the fact that anyone actually has joined is amazing to me. So if you don't want to take part, if you have like joined but you still don't really feel like you want to do it, don't feel bad about leaving, or don't feel bad about not taking part in it. Honestly, just appreciate you all for being on my channel. Like, you don't even have to, you're not obligated to do anything. You're watching my content. You're not obligated to take part in what I do. So just like, thank you for everything, you know? Like, oh, I'm being so cheesy again. Why did I do this to myself? I also reached 450 subscribers this month, which is mind-boggling. I usually get 10 subs a month, but for October, I actually went up 50 subs. Mind-boggling. For all my 50 subscribers that have joined me this month, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I usually do a Sims TBR video where I play The Sims 4 and I determine based off that what I read. So if that's something you're interested in, that might be in the future. You might not even care about that. If that's fine too, that's fine too. December, I do plan on doing my Sims TBR video like I mentioned. I'm going to be doing the spinner wheel and determining babies in my next one, how many babies my characters are having. Oh, God bless them. Good luck. If they get 4, I think I'm gonna quit. I think I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna quit YouTube if they have 4 kids. Then in December, I do plan on unwrapping at least one of these books, unless my Sims decide to do another unwrap or unhaul book. I just call unwrap or unhaul because these are all my own books that I haven't got to yet. I should have. And if I read them and I don't like them, I will unhaul them. And if I unwrap them and I just don't want them anymore, I will unhaul them. So that's what these are for. I have like 30 of them and I haven't unwrapped any of them. So I need to hold myself accountable. And for Christmas, since it's like, you know, unwrapping things, I'm gonna be at least doing one, unless my Sims chooses to do a second one, and then I will do 2. I'm just gonna end this video now, so thank you so much for watching as usual. I hope you have a great reading month in November. We only have 2 months of the year left. I'm sorry to tell you that, no pressure or anything, but we need to get our books read. If you wanna reach your Goodreads goal, you gotta read the books. So as usual, regardless if you are new or if you've been here for a while, just thank you for being here so much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great reading month in November, and I hope to see you all soon. Goodbye, everyone.